A pile of fucking horseshit is what that was. Let me explain. Matter has 4 different forms during its fight. Fire, ice, poisonous, and cursed. What you just saw was its fire spinner ability, which is one of its 3 attacks that it can do at random while in its fire form. If you're attempting a perfect run, and it starts this move, yeah, you better pick a god and say your fucking prayers, because one hit from this unbalanced piece of shit is gonna be the end of that run. There's 3 things the spinner does when it hits you. First off, you get a chunk of your HP taken out. The exact amount depends on your proximity to matter, because you'll likely get hit by it multiple times, but at the very least, you'll be losing around 30 to 40 health. This on its own probably would have been fine. With enough evasive maneuvers, you could recover the lost health pretty easily. But then there's the burn damage. Burn damage in this game means you'll be losing 4 health every second, with no way to put it out. While the amount of time it lasts for varies by the source of the damage. During Matter's boss fight, it lasts for 5 seconds. Doing the math, this means you'll be losing 20 more health on top of the 30 to 40 health, which, I should also remind you, is the least amount of damage you can take from a hit. This is where the attack goes from manageable to absolute dog shit. But wait, there's more! Remember the clip I showed you earlier? What sticks out? See here? Ragdolling. The fucking ragdolling. This elevates, no, condemns this attack from absolute dog shit into something excreted straight out of the unholy bowels of the devil himself. There's no way for you to recover your lost HP, because you'll either be knocked out long enough to be hit a second time, or you'll just get thrown off the tiny map that has no barriers around the edges to prevent something like that from happening. One hit, and the run is over. What the fuck were they thinking with this shit? And there's more. One last absolutely infuriating detail about the fire spinner that inspired this entire second chapter. Obviously, I wouldn't be this pissed off if it was at least evadable. You can't one-hit what hasn't been hit in the first place. But of course that's not the case with this pile of fuck either! You know why? The spinner spins in a random direction every single time, and there's no goddamn indicator for which one it's gonna pick this time, so have fun guessing! Isn't that so fucking balanced? Isn't that so fucking fuck? God. Can you believe I still haven't talked about the other forms yet? What could be worse than a spin attack that takes out a good chunk of your HP, gives you burn damage on top of that, ragdolls you, and has no reliable way to evade it other than praying to the gods up in heaven to bless you with good RNG? I'll be honest, there is none. The fire spinner is the bane of my fucking existence. But there is something that comes pretty close. Specifically during the ice form. Okay, see that? You can't see the moment where it happens, but that attack got me killed. You wanna know how? Fucking ragdolling again! Matter only has 2 attacks during its ice form, as opposed to the 3 attacks its other forms have. In lieu of a 3rd attack, however, the floor freezes over. Try not to get ragdolled during this, because the floor is slippery enough to send you over the edge. So of course one of its attacks is able to ragdoll you. The icicle rain attack might be easier to dodge and do less damage than the fucking fire spinner, but it can still kill you instantly. Wanna know why? When you get hit by an icicle, you get trapped in a block of ice. This basically stun locks you, so you won't be able to get up in time to avoid sliding off and dying. We've had a perfectly good run get completely shit out because of this shit. Okay. So technically there is a way to avoid falling off the edge while you're stun locked. By right-clicking the Windows key and holding it for a while, you can pause your game client. This cancels out your momentum, so you'll just be stuck in place instead of crashing into the void. This method has its downsides though. The rest of this section was sourced fully from Karel, since the last time I tried it my Roblox completely froze and I had to restart my laptop. To quote,
"The icicle rain starts to deliberately spawn on top of you after a while, so even if you decide to do this, you can still get butt done by RNG.
Also, casual players generally wouldn't even be aware that this method even exists. And why would they? It's technically a bug. So yeah, I wouldn't count this as a viable strat, but now you know it's a thing. I don't have much to say about the other 2 forms. Although the fact that an attack used during one form can last long enough to stick around while it's in a completely different form can be pretty annoying. The curse trap especially. Because of how small the arena is, it's a pain in the ass to avoid. Oh yeah, did I mention that you can get cursed as soon as you spawn? Fuck spawn shield, right? Yeah, congratulations on getting killed. Here's 10 million status effects to celebrate. Now go fuck yourself! While we're on the topic of fucking yourself, why can't we attack matter while it's idle? I don't see this guy putting up any defenses. Was it to keep it accurate to the source material? In that case, why not have players spawn with only status effect inflicting items? Have like 4 guys with hands of fire or torture in my book, 4 guys with freeze ray, 4 guys with puffer gun, and 4 guys with shadow axe or Zikare and switch them out during each phase or something if you want to be accurate to the source material. Hell, remove the poisonous form and the curse form. Those aren't in Kirby 64. Also, why are we block people during this fight? I don't remember Kirby looking like a Lego guy. Also, why do multiple people get to fight this guy at once? Kirby soloed him. It's not accurate. It's not. Okay. Maybe I'm not being fair to the devs here. Item Asylum is, at its core, an RNG-based meme game that you're not really meant to take seriously. It has a boss fight based on a fucking YouTube poop, for fuck's sake. Is that boss also sucks ass? But that's a story for another day. The thing is, when you include something like the perfect run in your game, even awarding exclusive items to people who beat certain bosses with this feature enabled, I would like to argue that you're at the very least implying that people should be taking it seriously. Plus, beating these guys with only 1 health takes some knowledge of the game, from knowing what items are useful, to knowing what maps are awful for fighting Skeleton in, and a fuckload of skill, especially if you have to solo them. So it just pisses me off how poorly designed this boss fight is. Especially since JPX has already proved that they can design a good boss fight with almost the same gimmick as matter. Doglirium is a secret boss that you can access by finding the 5 different pet PNGs hidden throughout the various maps in-game. It has 5 phases with unique attacks. The arena is tiny, and you have to solo it with only the real life. Despite this, it's infinitely better designed than matter. Remember how much I complained about the ragdolling during the fire spinner? Well, Doglirium has an attack with a similar gimmick. When in its Jinx form, Doglirium will initiate a strum attack. This involves spinning around and shooting musical notes at you. And yeah, they're harder to dodge and you get ragdolled upon impact. Similarly to matter, if you get hit while being close to the edge of the arena, this means certain death. But you know what doesn't happen when you get hit? You don't lose 30 to 40 HP and get a status effect inflicted on you. Already this gives Doglirium an edge, but it also does the rain type attack better as well. The Vulture form wields a bazooka that it shoots into the air. After a few seconds, the rockets will fall back onto the arena. If you get hit, you'll get ragdolled and flung to space. This can seem daunting at first, but it's actually pretty easy to avoid them. All you have to do is stay near the edge. The rockets have a higher chance of hitting the middle of the arena, so with some decent RNG you can just stay back and attack while Doglirium does nothing to stop you. The closest thing this boss has to an instant kill move is its smaller attack, which it can initiate during the move form. If you get hit, you lose a decent amount of health, leaving you with 40% of what you originally had. It's quite easy to get killed by this if you get hit multiple times. However, it's not that hard to avoid. You wanna know why? Doglirium gives you an indicator for where it's going to hit. Yeah, enough said.
Thinking about it, it's kind of disappointing really since as we've stated before, JPX is actually capable of creating fun and unique bosses that require actual effort to beat instead of having to rely purely on R&D to dig through them. I think the best example of that would be the one and only 10-hour burst man. Now don't get me wrong, there's still some level of bullshittery involved in his boss fight, ranging from getting stun-locked after getting hit by a singular attack to straight up guaranteed that if you fail to dodge his vampire is a move. Even then there's still some level of fairness to the boss that you can easily crack down into if you're skilled enough at the game, listening to sound cues to figure out whichever weapon he's going to wield next while in the darkness, circling and strafing around him to avoid either Star Platinum or Mad Boom Shotgun, moving sideways in a straight line to avoid getting stun-locked by his Grand Volley, etc. etc. the main reason we're comparing that our first man to better is because, as we've said, he still has that distinctive item Asylum brand of unfairness and getting completely fucked over because you got it by one singular attack all the while being an extremely unique boss that's able to be beaten with if you're skilled enough almost any loadout in the game. You can counter all the outcome of the fight by having sufficient general in-game knowledge and enough experience to play around what the 10-hour first man throws at you. Better completely throws all of that stuff out of the without giving the player absolutely no way to influence the outcome of the fight through either in-game knowledge, skill or experience. It's a big fucking RNG fest, and if those respective item Asylum RNG gods aren't feeling equitable the day you decide to perfect run this boss, then too bad fuck you, because almost every single one of its attacks is influenced by RNG, being able to spell certain that even with a fairly decent loadout. Oh yeah, as you probably know, some of its attacks can't even be dodged because that's genuine great fucking fun and an awesome way to make players not want to jump out of their windows after getting hit by the fire explosion multiple times in a row without being able to do anything about it. What the fuck were they thinking? I don't think this boss is good for our mental health.
So yeah, that's about it. Maybe you agree with us, maybe you don't. I don't know. I still haven't perfect Grand Matter, and I never want to try it again. I would rather have a gorilla hammer coconuts up my nostrils than have to fight this unbalanced piece of But I will. I'll try again, and again, and again. Because that's how addicted I am to this fucking meme game full of unbalanced fucking bosses and dog shit items based on random niche animes and the silly little emotes I can do, and hitting the Master Spark during the Man on Nature fight, and falling off the edge of a map while fighting the Juggernaut. Yeah, despite everything I just said, I still like Item Asylum. It's definitely one of the Roblox fighting games of all time. Oh yeah, one last thing. Die, demon! Also, JPX, if you're watching this, please add more boss fights based on the other factions. Uncertified is literally the best boss in-game. That is all.
KFLS slide here to suggest you guys also remove smoke grenades from the boss item pool too. Goodbye.
Bro, I finally loaded in. I'm so ready to beat this boss. Hello? Guys! Guys! Guys!